My name is Megan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy Kaling.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Build electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why isn't he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
We want privacy! We want privacy! And you know what else? To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife! We want privacy! We want privacy!
Picture this. You're sitting in your Montecito mansion, coffee in hand when your phone buzzes. Your team just got word that South Park, the show that's been roasting celebrities for nearly 3 decades without consequences, is coming for you. Not just any episode, a DEI special. And apparently, they've decided to turn your most intimate moment of motherhood into primetime comedy fodder.
You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
Any type of flower arranging is just telling a story. What story do you want to tell? Maybe leave the country. Maybe disown your dad. Be creative with it.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid and then so are like journalists.
But here's where it gets wild. According to multiple sources close to Meghan Markle's inner circle, her response to this news wasn't just concern. It was panic. The kind of panic that has staffers whispering in hallways, lawyers drafting cease and desist letters at dawn, and her entire brand strategy suddenly feeling like it's built on quicksand. So what exactly happened? And more importantly, why is everyone saying this could be the moment that changes everything for her? Stick around, because this story has more plot twists than the show itself.
So you hate journalists? That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
When word first leaked that South Park was working on a parody of Meghan's now infamous pregnancy twerking video, the atmosphere inside her Montecito compound shifted instantly from business as usual to full crisis mode. Think about it. This isn't some random late-night skit. This is South Park, the show that's turned Scientology, Oprah, and even political figures into punchlines without flinching once. According to people who were there, the moment Meghan caught wind of the parody, apparently tipped off by someone sympathetic at Paramount, she did what any person would do. She went into damage control.
Like the gross disrespect to the intimacy and privacy of marriage and childbirth. You know, there are some moments that are supposed to be between a husband and a wife only.
What matters is what we have on the inside.
It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time.
An emergency Zoom call got scheduled for dawn. Her legal team was summoned, the central question dominating every conversation. Could they force a rewrite? Could they delay the broadcast? Could they make this go away? The answer from her lawyers: unfortunately not. Fair use laws in the United States are ironclad when it comes to parody. Trey Parker and Matt Stone know this better than anyone. They've spent nearly 3 decades steamrolling cease and desist letters and brushing off legal threats like their gossip magazine headlines. To them, an angry attorney's letter is basically free marketing. But Meghan didn't get to where she is by accepting, unfortunately not. So what came next was a crash course in crisis management that would make most publicists lose sleep. Walking into one of those strategy sessions at Meghan's team's headquarters would feel like watching someone try to defuse a bomb with tweezers. Every morning brought a new idea. Every lunchtime brought a new reason why that idea wouldn't work.
It's important we do this ourselves, Harry, and not live off your family.
I agree. We'll just have to find a way to make £50 billion on our own.
It's so funny you keep saying Meghan Markle, you know it's Sussex.
One veteran PR consultant suggested something straightforward: a quiet phone call to Trey Parker's agent. The theory was simple: appeal to basic human decency, remind him that Meghan's just protecting her family. This suggestion lasted about 20 minutes before the legal team reminded everyone that Parker's entire career is built on daring anyone to try. Decency isn't part of his brand strategy. By midday, a different faction had a completely different approach. What if Meghan issued a preemptive Instagram post? Something powerful about being a champion for mothers everywhere. A heartfelt statement about protecting women from body shaming and the male gaze. It felt smart in theory. Until the digital marketing team pointed out a fatal flaw. Any post like that would essentially confirm what South Park was joking about. She'd be handing them a PR victory on a silver platter. Then came the lawyers' draft. A courtesy letter, which is basically corporate speak for, "We're threatening you, but we're trying not to sound too threatening."
Is this a wrinkle I see in my blouse? Who the f ironed this? I told you to iron this shirt 10 times. It looks like you only ironed it 9.
Welcome to my garden. Well, it's not my garden, it's a set actually, but welcome to my set.
The document ran 4 pages, bristling with legal language about defamation, emotional distress, and potential harm to maternal well-being. It was aggressive. It sounded official. It looked impressive. It also never got sent. Why? Because even the most confident senior advisor on Meghan's team realized something crucial. If that letter leaked, and in Hollywood, everything eventually leaks. It would become Exhibit A in South Park's marketing campaign. The whole story would shift from South Park made a joke to Meghan tried to censor South Park. And the internet loves nothing more than a censorship narrative. The atmosphere in those strategy sessions began to feel suffocating. One staff member described it like walking a tightrope over a bonfire, where every step forward risks making things worse, and every step backward feels like surrender. For someone whose entire brand is built on narrative control, the loss of control was maddening. Here's where this gets personal. And here's what makes this story worth paying attention to. That pregnancy twerking video wasn't just a random moment for Meghan.
Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
According to those close to her, she poured thought and intention into it. She choreographed it as a declaration of empowerment, authenticity, and reclaimed joy. It was supposed to be her statement. A moment where she controlled the narrative around her own body, her own motherhood, her own femininity. To have South Park take that moment and recast it as stage theater, complete with fake baby bumps, Cartman barking orders, and the implication that the whole thing was scripted for cameras, that wasn't just a joke in her mind. It felt like an invasion of something sacred. Think about what South Park's genius actually is. They don't just make fun of people. They find the precise fault line where someone is most vulnerable, then they exploit it with surgical precision. In Meghan's case, that fault line is perception management. Critics have long whispered that every Markle move feels market-tested, from her speaking engagements to her charity work, to yes, even her spontaneous-looking viral moments. By targeting her pregnancy video, South Park wasn't just teasing. They were implying something much darker, that her declaration of authentic motherhood was actually calculated performance. That the woman who's fought so hard to be seen as genuine might actually be the opposite.
It is elevating the ordinary little things. And who got the Kroger peanut butter? It's not even organic.
Everyone says they don't have time to make homemade meals, but if you just have 3 nannies, 2 butlers, a housekeeper, a driver, and a full-time personal assistant, you have all the time in the world. Stop making excuses and start moving snacks from one bag to another.
One confidant recalls Meghan venting about the sketch with a kind of betrayal that went beyond anger. "They're not just mocking my brand," she allegedly said. "They're mocking motherhood itself." That emotional trigger explains why this particular parody cut deeper than her previous South Park appearances. Because if the public starts seeing her pregnancy moment as contrived, what does that mean for every other raw, vulnerable thing she's tried to share? The book excerpts about mental health struggles, the podcast interviews about postpartum realities, the everything, that's the real spiraling. While Meghan's team was frantically searching for solutions, something very different was happening on the other side of the negotiations. Paramount's executives were doing math. They remembered what happened after South Park's first royal roast: subscription spikes, social media explosions, water cooler conversations that lasted for weeks. Every analyst memo pointed to the same simple metric: controversy converts to clicks. The DEI special was already being forecast to massively outperform their standard episodes. Not because the writers had created something revolutionary, but because Meghan's rumored panic was already leaking into the entertainment ecosystem. Her outrage wasn't collateral damage. It was part of the release strategy. Here's the brutal honesty. The harder she pushed back, the more potent the promotion. Every frantic phone call to the network, every legal threat, every leaked strategy session, it all fed into the narrative that this episode was so controversial, so insightful.
I want my home to feel welcoming. Do you feel welcome? Does my soundstage welcome you? Mindy and I are such great friends, like besties. Like, I love her. Like, she doesn't know my name, but we're best friends.
Hey, lowly cameraman, come over here and try some fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. We need to make it look like I actually care about my camera crew. Come get some fried chicken. Act like you're having fun. Act like you're having fun.
Within hours of Meghan's legal notice leaking, yes, it leaked, and we'll get to that, Paramount's social listening dashboard went absolutely wild. Mentions of South Park spiked like a stock market trading halt. What had been neutral curiosity among general audiences transformed into gleeful anticipation. Entertainment sites started calling the network, begging for exclusive clips. One VP in the streaming division reportedly cracked a grin, tapped a conference room whiteboard, and wrote 2 words: leverage the letter. That phrase became the rallying cry for the entire department. By lunchtime, what had been a skeleton teaser plan morphed into a 3-phase rollout strategy. The first phase involved releasing character animations, 10-second snippets, designed to confuse and intrigue. The second phase would be a mock PSA about respecting creative freedom, basically South Park commenting on its own controversy. The third phase was timed to the moment when news of Meghan's legal correspondence hit the entertainment trades. The internal goal was to amplify the buzz without appearing to bait the Duchess outright. In reality, though, the line between promotion and provocation had been intentionally blurred from the start. Behind closed doors, Paramount's legal team double-checked every frame of the pregnancy sketch. They cross-referenced it with decades of fair use precedent. They analyzed every joke for potential defamation issues. Their conclusion? No edits required. The episode was legally bulletproof.
So let's take a bite of this. This sandwich tastes like shit, Mindy.
Why are there so many people in our car?
It's not a car, Harry, it's a bus.
And why does it smell?
We're going to work, Harry, because HGTV canceled our show and we need money.
You can't get work acting, so now you're teaching it, which kind of makes sense and kind of doesn't.
One in-house counsel cracked a joke. She can't silence commentary on a video she literally posted to the world herself. That's when the marketing team got ambitious. They drafted a potential tagline for the DEI specials trailer: "Empower your laughter." It was cheeky. It was designed to sound empowering, while also being a pretty obvious dig at Meghan's brand language around empowerment. They ultimately shelved that specific tagline when someone pointed out that Meghan's legal team would definitely claim it was mocking her empowerment brand, which would generate even more controversy and buzz. But they didn't forget the concept. Instead, they started talking about limited run merch, t-shirts emblazoned with Cartman Kennedy's silhouette, and the slogan, "Respect our parody." If the episode performed as well as they predicted, those shirts could drop mere hours after the episode aired, potentially going viral before Meghan's team even figured out their response strategy. Meghan's team made a decision. They would send a cease and desist. Not the courtesy letter that had been discarded. Something more formal. Something with teeth. The document was drafted overnight by one of Beverly Hills' top law firms. It ran 4 pages, bristling with references to defamation, emotional distress, and the specific language potential harm to maternal well-being. The lawyers worked late, turning legal concepts into pointed arguments. They couriered it to Paramount's legal affairs office at dawn, with a confidentiality watermark so aggressive it practically bled through the paper.
Of course, our fuckacia bread isn't complete without our flour sprinkles. Flour sprinkles! You know you've made it when you've acquired a huge fan base of bullies. Hashtag Sussex Squad.
Could it be? A mystery for the ages.
By midday, the letter had leaked. First, it hit a Hollywood trade outlet. Then, a royal podcaster with a devoted following picked it up. Within hours, the hashtag #RespectOurParody was trending worldwide. Inside Meghan's camp, the leak felt like sabotage. Some staff members suspected Paramount had deliberately tipped off entertainment reporters to make the Duchess look litigious and unreasonable. Others whispered about a disgruntled junior aide, tired of crisis mode and looking for an exit strategy. Either way, the effect was immediate and devastating. South Park's writers. But Meghan wasn't ready to retreat completely. She authorized a secondary strategy. Her team reached out to sympathetic UK outlets, trying to reframe the episode as a potential hate speech issue. The argument went like this: mocking a pregnant woman's body ventures beyond fair criticism into gendered harassment. It's not comedy, it's targeted abuse. A draft op-ed circulated among friendly columnists, but editors hesitated. They were wary of looking like puppets in a transatlantic free speech battle. They knew that if they published something that appeared to be orchestrated by Meghan's team, it would undermine the entire argument. By week's end, every legal and PR maneuver had achieved the opposite of its intention. The episode's pre-release buzz had tripled. Meghan's cease and desist letter had become another punchline in online meme culture. And for a Duchess who once vowed never to be silenced, the cruel irony was impossible to ignore. Every attempt to muzzle the cartoon had only amplified its volume.
You twerked, Alex?
I don't think I've ever twerked in my life.
You must have.
Really? I genuinely mean that. If there's any footage that ever comes out of me twerking, I'll pay for all your pints one night. How about that?
Meghan, she's an American celebrity, so I can kind of forgive her for it.
It's definitely her idea.
She's like, Prince Harry is a prince of the realm. You imagine the centuries of history and tradition in this country, the respectful organisations that he was or is an ambassador of, the military, and you're behaving like that and happy to release it in public. I mean, it's just so demeaning.
Yeah, she's a narcissist and he's quite thick.
While Meghan was front and center in the battle against South Park, Prince Harry was fighting a war that nobody was seeing. A subtler conflict, waged in early morning calls to London advisors and late-night whispers to people he trusted. According to those close to him, Harry was torn. On one side, he felt genuine empathy for his wife's distress. On the other side, he was dreading what was coming, because if the first South Park episode taught him anything, it's that the animated character versions of him look ridiculous. And this time, his cartoon self would apparently be barking orders at a pregnant woman in the name of empowerment. Harry's fears weren't just about looking foolish on screen. He'd been inching toward cautious reconciliation with King Charles. Word is that he'd already received a tense message from a senior palace official reminding him that any fresh mockery of the monarchy, no matter how animated or satirical, would complicate things. The optics were already fragile. An episode that featured Prince Harry as an idiot with a clipboard would not help. One source recalls Harry venting to a former military buddy that the show makes him look like an idiot, undermining the gravitas he's been trying to rebuild through his veterans work and mental health advocacy. That friend apparently gave him blunt advice: embrace the humor. A public sulk would only confirm South Park's caricature. But Harry knows how these things work. He understands that clips of a cartoon prince coaching a pregnant woman through a twerk sequence would ricochet across social media. They'd get cut into montages with his book excerpts and his Oprah interview soundbites. The tabloids would feast on it for months. The jokes would multiply. He also understood something else. William probably wouldn't be unhappy about it. Palace insiders have whispered that William found the first South Park parody uncomfortably accurate, a little too close to truth for comfort. If Harry stumbles again in this new episode, William might actually smile about it. Privately, at least. Yet pushing back against South Park created its own problems. Meghan's advisors wanted a unified front. Any sign of Harry urging restraint could leak as marital division, precisely the narrative Meghan least wanted out there. According to one Montecito staffer, Harry floated a compromise. Issue a measured statement condemning misogyny in comedy while praising free speech, then pivot to Invictus Games promotion. The idea was to acknowledge the episode without validating the criticism. Meghan's core team shot it down. It sounded like capitulation. So Harry found himself stuck in limbo. Draft apologies to no one. A silent witness to a storm that might splash mud on every Windsor crest. Every option felt dangerous. Confidants say his nightly jogs grew longer during this period. Earbuds blasting mindfulness podcasts that couldn't quite drown out the sound of laughter he feared was already baked into South Park's final cut. The moment the news broke that Meghan's pregnancy twerk was about to be parodied on South Park, the internet didn't just react. It combusted. Twitter split along predictable fault lines. #RespectOrParody rocketed up the trending board, propelled by users posting doctored GIFs of Cartman moonwalking next to a CGI baby bump. Within hours, the competing #mockery is misogyny emerged, with defenders arguing that South Park had crossed a line. This wasn't comedy anymore. This was humiliation theater. This was dragging a mother's body for laughs in front of millions. That clash became absolutely fertile ground for viral content. Reaction videos started appearing. TikTok comedians were choreographing their own bump boogies, some as tribute, some as satire of satire. Lifestyle influencers started analyzing the ethics of parody between unboxing segments. Even a media professor threw their hat in the ring, stitching together clips to frame the whole debate as a culture war in miniature. But what really ignited the internet were the leaked storyboard sketches. Grainy phone photos, allegedly snapped during a Paramount sound mix review, hit Reddit before anyone could stop them. They showed Cartman Kennedy yelling at a flustered red-haired prince about empowerment angles. The Reddit community exploded. Hundreds of posts, thousands of comments, people dissecting every doodle like they were analyzing crop circles at Area 51. Fan artists started pumping out mock posters within minutes. One depicted Meghan in full hospital regalia, a tiara balanced on top of an IV drip, while Kyle held a clapperboard reading Take 97. Each post pulled in more eyes. Each pair of eyes represented another potential viewer, tuning in when the episode finally aired. Influencers who had once basked in Meghan's glow began to feel the pull of easy engagement and clicks. A wellness coach who'd been paid to promote Meghan's lavender drinks uploaded a reaction reel titled, "I love Meg, but this is hilarious," hitting 1 million views in a single day. A mid-tier fashion blogger who'd declined a collaboration with Meghan's brand still couldn't resist posting a side-by-side comparison of the real pregnancy dance and the South Park storyboard, captioned simply, "Spot the difference?" Some fans chided her for disloyalty, but her brand engagement dashboards showed her reach spiking. Controversy was selling better than any sponsored jar of herbal tea ever could. The more Meghan's sympathizers begged for restraint, the louder the jokes grew. The algorithm was working exactly as algorithms work. It smells outrage, the way sharks smell blood in the water. Each plea to leave pregnant women alone became screenshot fodder for snark accounts. Each angry DM, leaked by a blue-check journalist, fueled another round of hot takes. By week's end, fan-made countdown clocks were sitting at the top of TikTok's For You pages, ticking toward August, with a beat that even Montecito's crisis phones couldn't drown out. Inside Montecito, as the air date crept closer, Meghan's advisors huddled around conference tables and video calls to draft 2 fundamentally different playbooks for what would happen the morning after South Park's special aired. The first playbook was titled Counter-Strike. This faction wanted Meghan to seize the microphone immediately. They envisioned a polished op-ed in a prestige outlet, a major publication where her voice would carry weight and credibility. The piece would frame the parody as proof that women's bodies remain fair game for mockery and entertainment. It would weave in statistics on online harassment. It would position Meghan herself as a case study for how celebrity and motherhood create a vulnerability that comedians exploit. The essay would end with a rallying cry for dignity and digital satire standards, essentially saying, comedy can be funny without being cruel. The Counter-Strike faction argued that this move could pull sponsors back to the table. A values-driven clapback, bundled with a charity pledge to support mothers facing online harassment, could re-energize Meghan's entire brand. Sponsors love purpose. They love brands that stand for something. This could be her moment to prove that her empowerment message wasn't just marketing, it was conviction. But skeptics in the room pointed out the obvious flaw in this logic. Any such response risked looking calculated. It would look like she was rolling activism, charity work, and product placement into the same package. And that's literally what South Park skewers. Then there was the second playbook, strategic silence. This faction believed that any response was self-sabotage. Their research showed them past South Park targets. Scientology had responded with anger and legal threats, which only made the jokes funnier. Kanye had clapped back repeatedly, which only fed more content. Even Prince Charles had bristled at parody, which only made the mockery stick. Their slide deck showed search interest graphs that spiked only when victims talked back. Let the episode trend for a news cycle, they insisted. 2, maybe 3 days of chaos. Then fade. Meanwhile, Meghan could pivot hard in the opposite direction. Leak upbeat footage from an upcoming children's literacy drive. Book Meghan on a feel-good podcast about motherhood truths and maternal struggles. Drop a low-key restock of something uncontroversial, like herbal tea or a wellness journal. If journalists asked about South Park, offer no comment. Focus on positive impact. Flood the zone with good news, and let outrage fatigue set in. The theory was that audiences have short attention spans. Sponsors would breathe easier once the scandal moved off the trending lists. Meghan could re-enter the cultural conversation holding storytime books instead of legal briefs. But hampering both plans was a more fundamental issue. Money. Marketing resets cost money. Crisis PR costs money. A splashy philanthropy push costs money. And Meghan's coffers were already stretched. One insider claimed that a bridge-round pitch deck had been circulating quietly, the kind of document you show to potential investors when you need fresh capital. The language in the deck was all about resilience in the face of cultural headwinds and, quote, weathering media storms. But investors wanted proof that Meghan could actually handle satire without falling apart. One potential silent partner supposedly asked a blunt question. If she's rattled by a cartoon, how will she handle a TikTok conspiracy theory? That's when a third whispered option surfaced. Lean into the joke. What if Meghan did the unexpected? An edgy cameo on a rival sketch show, maybe. A self-deprecating TikTok duet, where she laughs at herself first. Own the parody. Control the narrative. Flip public sentiment before anyone else could use it against her. It was risky. Meghan's entire brand is built on polished poise, not punchlines. She's cultivated an image of aspirational grace, of someone who's above the fray. Self-deprecating humor could undermine that carefully constructed persona. But some advisors argued that authenticity, or the appearance of it, is the ultimate currency in modern celebrity. And nothing says I'm unfazed, quite like laughing at yourself before the crowd gets the chance to do it for you. Whichever path Meghan chose, one truth lingered like smoke in the room. The next move would define everything. Not just this moment, but her entire trajectory going forward. It would determine whether her brand emerges recalibrated and stronger, or whether South Park's laugh track becomes the soundtrack to a long, slow fade into irrelevance. August is creeping closer. The DEI special is locked. The animations are finalized. The jokes have been rewritten and refined until they're as sharp as they're ever going to be. Every tick of the countdown amplifies a question that no publicist script can mute. Does Meghan Markle meet the satire head-on, with a response so powerful it shifts the narrative? Does she vanish into silence and let the storm pass without feeding it with her oxygen? Or does she execute the rarest trick in modern celebrity, turning potential humiliation into genuine humanity without sacrificing the authority and poise that define her? The stakes are suddenly bigger than a single animated episode. They're bigger than jokes about baby bumps and twerking. If the episode lands, and Meghan's only move is fury and legal threats, it cements South Park's caricature. The image of a woman who craves attention and recognition, but can't handle the cost of that attention. Someone who wants to be seen, but can't tolerate being questioned. If she claps back with a high-gloss op-ed, critics will say she's monetizing calamity, turning a personal attack into content and commerce. Meanwhile, her fans will beg her to just let comedy roll off her shoulders and move on. And if she opts for silence, hoping the storm will pass, well, if Meghan or her brand stumbles again anytime soon, the narrative will curdle into something much darker. The story of a Duchess hiding from a punchline she secretly fears might be true. Paramount's marketing team is already smelling record-breaking numbers. They've run the analytics. They've studied the precedents. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are sharpening frames, cutting jokes for maximum memeability, ensuring that the most viral moments will be the ones that sting the hardest. Influencers have drafted reaction thumbnails before a single frame has even aired. Even Harry's private anxieties, those late-night phone calls to Britain, the long runs through Montecito, the whispered fears of renewed Windsor Snickers, could resurface in tabloid sidebars the moment the credits roll. Investors are watching Meghan's next move like analysts studying stock charts. Can a brand built on curated authenticity actually survive being lampooned as scripted artifice? If she finds a way to laugh first, or, better yet, profit from the laugh while maintaining her dignity, she might prove that South Park was an unexpected springboard to relevance, rather than a death knell. But if she missteps, if she overreacts or underreacts or just vanishes, then a cartoon might actually define her for an entire generation raised on viral snippets and TikTok memories. The truth is, this moment reveals something important about celebrity in the 2020s. You can control a narrative up to a point. You can manage your brand. You can stage moments and choreograph your image. But you can't control satire. You can't control jokes. You can't control the internet's appetite for watching powerful people squirm. All you can control is how you respond when the moment comes. So now I'm asking you, if South Park's parody drops exactly as rumored, where do you stand? Do you think Meghan should strike back with a public statement, using her platform to reclaim the narrative? Or should she let the episode crash and burn without her oxygen, trusting that silence and a strategic pivot might serve her better? And beyond the PR chess match, beyond the TikToks and the think pieces and the trending hashtags, does mocking a pregnancy video cross the line from satire into something meaner? Is all fair game in the arena of public image? Or is there a boundary that even comedy shouldn't cross? Drop your take in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious what you think about where the line is between comedy and cruelty, between fair criticism and targeted harassment. If you're here for every explosive twist and turn in celebrity culture, smash that like button. Subscribe so you never miss the next deep dive update, because trust me, the conversation around this episode is only going to get messier and more fascinating. The video queued up on your screen right now is packed with the very latest updates and analysis. You absolutely won't believe what's being said behind closed doors about this whole situation. Stick with me, this is far from over.